It's called How to Throw a Party in a Hijab. 1. The period party. The Muslim equivalent of the legal drinking age is when a woman has her period for the first time. It is when you become a truly human woman. So when I first had my period, I heard that God started the countdown. I heard that there was a party involved and there was a giant holy piñata labeled religious adulthood, and that God got really wasted and struck one of those high striker carnival machines, and a picking sound erupted through the heavens, and he won top score, and he pointed to the biggest yellow minion plushie and he said, "I want that one." And I heard that my face was pinned onto Lucifer's dartboard, and he started a holy war against me, and all the angels started chanting my name to the tune of Tom Jones, "She's a lady," because I was a lady. Basically, it's kind of a big deal. I had to start wearing sanitary pads, like a lady. I had to start wearing my heart on my sleeve. I had to start wearing sleeves, the scholars told me. Cover up, start with your skin, you are mostly skin anyway. 2. A sinister party. When you first have your period, your sins would unravel and decode themselves. They learn to walk on their own, they run away from your childhood leash, and when you're not looking, they fuck other sins behind the bushes and make little baby sins that grow up and form a sin army, a tsunami. My sins learned new words by the time they were 2, started talking back to me, laughing at how silly I look, a jumble of contradictions that don't match this living, breathing quilt, shreds of old rags and blankets that made up my body. They said things like, "You are accountable for us now. All your shedding blood means that you are losing the weight of stars inside you." So I counted my sins like they were stars. I counted the square inches of skin that I exposed to each lick of hellfire. I counted the undignified desires that knocked onto my door and barged into my bedroom and demanded to be pleasured. I counted the number of times I masturbated in a day, at least twice, 4 times if you count multiple orgasms separately, and somehow nobody ever seems to. And I made promises into my pillow that I wouldn't do it anymore. I broke holy promises daily. I lied to God. I knew if I kept it up, I would get blacklisted from heaven. 4. The pity party. So I shrouded myself in several pastel shades of cloth around my head, determined to be the complete portrait of a woman. And then I started listening to punk rock that told me to liberate and fuck it all. The system is sick. Fight against the man. You are bigger than what you've been told. And then I prayed 5 times a day. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Kissed the prayer rug like it was a lover, like I couldn't rely on anything less than godly. And then I started bookmarking my favorite porn fanfiction, so I knew where to flip straight for a mid-afternoon quickie. Then I started reading the Quran. I dragged through each syllable and inflection as if I understood every throaty word. And then I started saying fuck more and flipping off more and subscribing to concepts that once seemed culturally absurd, like evolution. 5. The microaggressive party. Aren't you hot in that? Why don't you take it off? Oh, you look so pretty without it. Are you like religious? Oh, if we give you the job, you can't, wear that thing. What are your thoughts on sex? What are your thoughts on boyfriends? Do you wear that thing at home? What are your thoughts on men? Do you ever like party? What are your thoughts on masturbation? Hey, Mina Tudong! Why are you forced to wear it? Why aren't you speaking Malay? 6. The rock show. The first rock show I went to, I was trampled midway after throwing myself into the mosh pit, sweaty and covered in hormones and too much cough. There was a silent confusion by the presence of a hijabi in their overnight queue. I could hear them thinking, "Why would you wear that thing on your head? You listen to hardcore music." It's not hardcore, bruv. It's just my chemical romance commentary. Because the scarf is cool and fancy around your neck next to studs and badges and Metallica and Skinny Puppy, but primitive around my head. And then it hit me that this is no mere cloth. This thing folded and pinned in the right ways brings with it too much. Stitched within its seams is the silence of cerebral gears of strangers spinning, trying to reconcile my presence with my environment, trying to understand what kind of woman I really am, without having said a word to me. Because I had a quilt of untold stories draped around my head, and I was always a mismatch, always belonging somewhere else. Because what was I doing at a party with other normal people who are dressed for it? What was I doing trying to become a newscaster or a radio DJ? Nobody wants to see my kind on their TV screens. What was I doing writing oral sex scenes secretly in my notebook, reading them back and touching myself after prayer so I didn't have to wash the sins from my body because my body was magnet for dirty and I was meant to be clean? What was I doing at a comic reading about Lucifer and his diabolical plan to ruin my life? Shouldn't I be speaking in an ethnic language? Am I even allowed to walk by a bar? If I see a bottle of alcohol, will I start melting in horror? Shouldn't I get a job somewhere else? I don't know where, but somewhere else they can't see me because people are already inebriated by those who look nothing like them. 7. How to party in anything. It's been 2 years since I lost God. But I found women, and I found men who stood by us, and I found those in between who were forced to pick one way or the other. And I found love and sex and hope and fire, and I found poetry, and I found rock and roll, and for a long time I thought that I never found these things until I stripped back to my skin. But we are not contradictions worn on our bodies. We are not balancing acts. We are ruined and wrong and right at the same time. We are the crucifix dildos and the punk anarchist imam. We are carnival high striker machines and yellow minion plushies, and the photograph on Lucifer's dartboard is our selfie. We can coexist with ourselves without battle. We can stop justifying our existence and our tongues and the things we do to our bodies because we are not conflicts meant to be solved. We are more than threads. We are more than the lines that we tread. When we are finding our own angels and we are throwing parties so loud that God herself will want to gate crash, get drunk, and steal our vodka martinis because that's how you throw a party. Thank you.